Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a certain creature that everyone's heard of at least once. At least once. There's books and TV shows about it. It's even been on the news. No matter where you go in the world, there's some version of it. Bigfoot.
What is it? Oh, Bigfoot. I didn't know that's what we were going to talk about. They have different names depending on where you are, but here in the U.S., it's mainly described as a large, hairy, ape-like creature, typically between 6 and 15 foot tall. That's a big guy.
Yeah.
With a muscular build covered in dark, shaggy fur. It's quite quiet and is the world's reigning hide-and-seek champion. Typically, you hear about Bigfoot when someone catches a glimpse of it in the wilderness. They don't seem interested in any kind of actual human interaction, but every now and then, stories emerge about the creature. Like once a year, you'll hear like someone saw Bigfoot. Well, around here where we're from, in the Sarasota County area in Florida, there had been a slew of sightings in Port Charlotte region.
Yep.
Last month. So
Yeah, several. Okay, so one such story comes from Albert, was it Ostman? Near the Toba Inlet in British Columbia, Canada. In 1924, Albert reported being abducted for 6 days by a Sasquatch. Albert wasn't a believer in any of the stories he'd heard about these man-beasts, that were roaming the woods in the area, and was going on vacation there one night. And he was like an avid outdoorsman as well. And one night while sleeping, a Sasquatch picked him up and carried him off inside of his sleeping bag.
wowza.
He was saying that his feet were underneath him, and by the time they got to where they were going, his feet had gone numb because he couldn't get his feet out from underneath him from bumping on. Because it was 3 hours before he was dropped on a plateau, but he remembers like the feeling of going uphill and downhill. When they were going downhill, he was like hitting the ground and stuff. That sounds awful.
Right.
When he emerged from his sleeping bag, he was greeted by a family of 4 Sasquatch, 2 adults and 2 children. They weren't mean or harmful toward him, and they fed him grass that he said had a sweet taste.
That's nice.
He recounted that the adult female washed and stacked leaves. The children played and fought with each other like human siblings would. And anybody that has siblings knows there's a lot of that. And the male child would also play with some of Albert's things. The adult male, who stood at roughly about 8 feet tall, would sometimes try to communicate with him. Eventually, Albert escaped by feeding the adult male a can of snuff, and it got sick.
Oh, I don't blame them.
Yeah.
Stuff is gross.
So it ran for the spring to get water because it was sick, and he made a break for it. And he was chased by the female adult until he shot his pew-pew into the air, scaring her away. He didn't use that on them before because he didn't want to do them harm as they weren't doing him any harm. And he also felt like if he had hurt them or murdered them, they were so close to being human-like that the guilt would eat him up.
Yeah, I'd feel like murder. Yeah.
Murdered a family. He did manage to get free, though, and he never found out why they'd taken him in the first place. I think it was to get to his stuff, personally.
Probably. They're like, what is this thing? This isn't the only personal account of Bigfoot encounters, either some being more well-known than others. A woman in the 1970s that was out camping claimed she heard a strange sound from outside of her camper. When she looked out of the window, she said she saw a female Bigfoot in the process of giving birth under a tree.
Oh, wow.
She watched silently from the window until the creature had left. That's when she went out to investigate and collect samples, but magically there were no samples there. She could see where the creature was sitting, so she went to that spot. How does something mammalian, I can't say that word, mammalian, in nature give live birth and leave nothing behind?
Because, giving birth is messy work. No fibers, no tissue, no bodily fluids. There was nothing.
Yeah.
That's wild. A man in Washington State made 2 separate 911 calls about the creature in his yard. Washington has the most Bigfoot sightings in the U.S. with 708 credible sightings right now. The first call was about something attacking the man's dog. He explained that he saw his 100-pound German Shepherd fly up over the power lines, and then later that dog, now deceased, was thrown over the fence into his yard.
Wow.
I would be so angry. His next call came when he saw something prowling around in his yard, and at first he only caught a glimpse of it when his motion sensor lights came on. But as the call continues, he finally sees it, and the fear is palpable. He saw it and said it was nearly 7 feet tall, and it wasn't a man. The police came and found nothing. The man sold the property when he discovered that Bigfoot researchers wanted to interview him and visit the property. He also retained a lawyer to remain anonymous. He's never come forward to discuss what happened, and I think that's linked to, like, you're kind of pegged as crazy when you start talking about your Bigfoot encounters, you know?
Right, yeah.
He wanted nothing to do with it, and
Don't blame him.
I probably wouldn't want to stay there either, because in the call, he's looking out his window, and then it gets up in the window in his face, and he starts, like, screaming. That's terrifying. It killed his dog, and now it's looking at him through the window. I'd want out of there, too.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Another one that really piques my interest is the story of Jerry Klein and his dog Bug. Jerry went to bed at 9 p.m. in a trailer attached to his truck. It was a utility trailer. He had a window installed in it. He was kind of like,
There's 2 windows installed in it.
yeah, kind of like a camper, I
Yeah.
guess. At 10 p.m. that night, his trailer started to rock hard. When he looked at his window, he saw eyes of a Bigfoot looking back at him. That put the creature at about 8 foot tall. Jerry called 911, and according to 911, you can hear how palpable
His fear is.
yeah. He explains that there are 2 of them and that they are trying to knock the whole trailer over. It took some time, but eventually police did arrive. When the headlights from the police car shined on the trailer, the 2 creatures that had been attacking ran away. Officers witnessed the smaller of the 2 creatures running and stepping over a 5-foot fence on a bike path before running into the woods. I mean, these are cops, like, saying that they saw this.
Yeah, and it just stepped over a 5-foot fence.
Credible people, you know.
Wild.
Not only has Jerry been vocal about his experience, but the officers involved have been too. There's been podcasts with the officers involved, and you can find the videos here on YouTube of Jerry's 911 call, as well as Jerry talking about the experience. Just a precaution, there's strong language in the recording if you do decide to go to listen to it. He was drunk when that happened. He was drinking, but he does sound, if you listen to it, he sounds like he really is terrified.
Yeah, he's scared.
And he's an older gentleman, so I don't think he was, like, losing it, you know? I think it was a real thing.
But he had also been, like, he said he was kind of a skeptic about Bigfoot, but he had gone out there and was like,
he was doing research with it. He was putting food out.
Yeah, and he was open to it. Something had gone through his truck.
Yeah.
So he started putting stuff out, and then they came knocking.
Yeah, they probably just wanted some more food, but I mean, they're probably scary, you know?
That's
Don't
gotta
blame
be
them.
terrifying.
Yeah.
They're huge. And he did talk about their eye shine. They did have eye shine, so to stack on top of it being a scary experience, when he saw it through the window, the eyes were glowing.
Yeah, and you start yelling at him, and he's like, get out of here, get out of here.
And that's when the strong language comes in.
Yeah.
Speaking of recordings, do you remember the Sierra Sounds recordings?
Oh, yeah, those are great. Ron Moorhead called vocal recordings in 1971. I mean, that's all the way back when you had the tape recorders. You had to push, you know, for those older people like me. I don't know how they lugged it all the way out there, because they had to get there by mule, I believe.
Well, there's the little ones, right? Where you just
Yeah, they're not so little. They're probably about that big, you know, big square, and they're heavy, you know. But I mean, I guess you could do it. Anyway, it's incredible to listen to because you can tell that they're speaking in some kind of language to each other. Within the recording, you can also hear Ron making calls back to them, trying to establish some kind of communication. Military-trained linguistics expert Scott Nelson determined it to be a verifiable unknown language. And I think we played it on one of our previous videos.
I'm not sure, but it is really cool to listen to. It's really
Look
cool
it
to
up,
listen to.
Sierra Sounds.
And you can differentiate between Ron making sounds and then the creatures making sounds back. And then in quieter moments where they're speaking to each other, the Bigfoot outside speaking to each other, and it's this like crazy animalistic like babbling.
Well, they
But
knew
it's-
where they were. They were like across this creek, like right next to their campsite, and their cabin was tiny. It wasn't like a big cabin. It was like
That's great. That would be
some
scary too.
bark set up, you know, like
That would be scary too.
yeah.
There are different types of but there are different types of them in the U.S. depending on where you are. We have the Bigfoot, the Sasquatch, the Honey Island Swamp Monster in Louisiana, the Skunk Ape in Florida, the Yucca Man in California, Grassman in Ohio, and there are several different indigenous nations that have different names for them. They're all basically the same, but just some different variations, and that's just here. There are versions of Bigfoot on every single continent. Australia has the Yowie, China has the Urin, the Yeti in the Himalayas, the Abominable Snowman in Nepal. In Africa, they have the Kulakumba, which is a little different because they're said to live in like together as a tribe. Brazilian folklore has the Mapinguari, who's different in the sense that he's a cyclops. And that's not even all of them. That's just a few. There are tons of theories about what they are and where they come from.
Yeah, that's a good concept. Everyone is pretty well divided on what Bigfoot is. Some theorize that it's simply an undiscovered species, while others speculate that it's an alien species sent to observe us, popularized by so many Bigfoot sightings being accompanied by UFO sightings.
Yes.
Or the theory that Bigfoot is interdimensional. The idea that Bigfoot and UFOs are connected isn't new. The idea dates back to the 1800s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It seems that at times Bigfoot and UFO sightings occur at the same place at the same time and will sometimes include orbs, more specifically orange orbs, fast-moving objects, and disappearing beings. In 2020, the documentary The Bigfoot Alien Connection revealed explores the notion that aliens may be trying to contact us through Bigfoot and other paranormal phenomenon. I haven't seen that, have you?
I have not.
Oh,
We should watch it.
I guess we should watch it.
Yeah. See, I lean toward interdimensional. Like, hear me out. There are places that people believe are portals from other dimensions, like the various triangles, the Bermuda Triangle, the Bennington Triangle, the Michigan Triangle, and places like Skinwalker Ranch. I think they come through these various places from different places in their realm. And just like humans have different races, so do they. That's why they're all basically the same, but with a few different variations like height, color, face structure, smells. They're from different parts of their world. I'm sure some of them have even, mixed and even further expanded on their variations. And there was an episode from that show, the Epidermis Pedestrian Ranch, where they saw something like a hole open up on the horizon
Right,
through
yeah.
their goggles, and
Yeah.
something stepped through, and then it closed, and that thing took off.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
See, like, I'm not crazy. It makes sense,
Yeah,
right?
well, I think our government knows about all this kind of stuff, and they keep it secret not to freak people out and whatnot. I mean, it's definitely something that goes on, and it's just a matter of time before someone gets it on tape or figures it out.
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely, I think a plausible theory. There's so many great good sightings and good. I mean, as our technology gets better, we get better video evidence. A lot of people want to discredit it, but I mean, it's there. You can't deny it.
And one of the things I hear all the time too is how come we've never found, like, even in the forest, you'll find bones and stuff sometimes. How come no one's ever found any evidence? Now, if it is an alien situation, they could simply just be taking it away.
They could, take a portal back to where they're coming from. Absolutely.
And then the other thing I've heard is like, well, if they're so human-like, maybe they bury their dead.
Right, yeah.
That's a
yeah, they could
possibility
do
as well.
that too. And I want to tell everybody about, I'm going to look up, there's a guy named Bob Gimlin on YouTube. Not the Bob Gimlin that actually did the Bigfoot recording in California. The very first one, the famous one.
Oh, okay. There's another Bob Gimlin?
Well, he's a YouTuber, and he does specifically Bigfoot YouTube videos, which are very specific, and he gets into height and weight and perspective of each video that people take, you know,
and like their gait, like how they walk and stuff too, which is interesting.
And he's current on all the new best Bigfoot videos out there, and it's a very eclectic voice, and he's got other stuff on there as well that are like interdimensional stuff and different creatures. It's a very good YouTube channel, so definitely check it out. Bob Gemlin, Gymlan, if you're interested in Bigfoot. So
nice.
Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and look up some of the stuff that we threw at you. You know, Sierra sounds are really interesting.
Sierra sounds are really neat.
Yeah.
And I know this one was a little longer, so if you made it to the end, thanks for sticking it out.
Yes, subscribe and like us. Love us. Bye.
Bye.